Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to synthesize the culinary secrets of some of the absolute biggest names in food. We're talking Gordon Ramsay, the incredible team at Tasty, and Joshua Weissman. Our goal? To teach you how to cook the perfect steak literally every single time. Look, whether you're cooking for a romantic date night or just, treating yourself after a long week, steak is the ultimate go-to. But as you probably know from experience, you only have seconds, literally seconds, before a gorgeous piece of meat gets overcooked and totally ruined. Well, today we're taking all the stress out of that entire process. Let's get into it.
Here is our roadmap for This Explainer. We've got 5 main stops on this chronological culinary journey from the grocery store to your dinner plate. Picking the perfect cut, the crucial prep steps, 2 foolproof cooking methods, the butter-based finish, and finally, resting, slicing, and serving.
Kicking things off with Section 1, Picking the Perfect Cut, from budget to baller.
Cooking a truly great steak really comes down to how you treat the specific meat you buy. And what's super fascinating here is how you can completely maximize flavor with inexpensive cuts compared to how you treat the naturally tender premium ones. So on the budget-friendly side, we're talking hanger, tri-tip, chuck, and flat meat. Because these usually come from muscular, hard-working areas of the cow, like the shoulder, they've got a tougher, looser texture. But here's the secret. That loose texture is actually a superpower. It acts like a giant sponge, making these cuts absolutely perfect for soaking up a simple marinade. Think soy sauce, black pepper, maybe some crushed garlic. Now, flip that around to the premium cuts, the New York strip, the insanely tender filet, and of course, the king of steaks, the ribeye. These already boast rich fat marbling and this melt-in-your-mouth texture. You really don't want a heavy marinade masking that. The absolute purest, best way to treat these is simply with a generous amount of salt.
Now, if you are springing for one of those premium cuts, Joshua Weissman makes a really fantastic point about the ideal thickness. He says you want to make sure your steak is thick, 1.5 to 2 inches thick, and he's spot on. Because if you go too thin, you're practically guaranteed to overcook the center way before the outside ever has time to develop a proper, delicious crust.
So that number right there, 1.5 to 2 inches, is your absolute golden rule for a cut like a ribeye if you want to nail that perfect medium rare center. That specific thickness is exactly what gives you the buffer you need to highlight the deep flavor and texture you just paid top dollar for.
Moving right along to Section 2, the crucial prep steps. This is everything that needs to happen before the heat hits.
Before fire ever touches the pan, you've got to follow these 3 universal prep rules. First, let the meat reach room temperature by taking it out of the fridge at least 20 minutes early. Gordon Ramsay actually warns about this all the time. If you cook a steak that is stone cold in the center, you're going to be forced to overcook the outside just to get the inside warm. It's a total rookie mistake. Second, pat it completely dry with paper towels. And third, season very generously with large grains of kosher salt and fresh cracked black pepper. Seriously, do not be scared to go heavy on the salt for a thick cut.
Actually, I really want to pause on that drying step for a second because it is absolutely paramount. Moisture is the ultimate enemy of a great crust. If you skip patting it dry or if you forget to wipe off the excess liquid from your marinade on those budget cuts, that residual moisture will literally steam the meat on the hot skillet. You're going to end up with this gray, sad exterior instead of that beautiful, crispy, brown crust we're all chasing.
All right, time for the high-action phase. Section 3. 2 foolproof cooking methods, traditional sear versus reverse sear.
Okay, regardless of the method you pick, a cast iron skillet is highly, highly recommended because it holds on to heat incredibly well. But here's a brilliant pro tip. Since cast iron actually heats unevenly on a standard stovetop burner, you should preheat your skillet in a hot oven for 20 minutes first. Once it's blazing hot, safely move it to the stove and add a high smoke point oil. You want to wait until that oil's literally shimmering, easily moving around the pan, and just starting to smoke before you even think about adding the meat.
Like Gordon Ramsay famously advises here, dropping your steak into a rip-roaring hot pan ensures the pan does the hard work of building that crust. The secret here, he says, is to make sure that we literally sear the steak and not boil it. When that meat hits the pan, you should hear a violent, aggressive sizzle immediately. If it doesn't sizzle, your pan just isn't hot enough, and you're basically boiling your beautiful steak in oil. No one wants that.
So, you've got 2 main paths to glory here. The first is the traditional pan sear. You lay the steak down, always away from you so the hot oil doesn't splash, by the way, and you flip the meat frequently. Flipping it every single minute ensures you're always exposing it to the hottest parts of the pan, which gives you a wonderfully even cook and a fantastic crust. Your other option is Tasty's stress-free reverse sear.
For this one, you actually bake the steak slowly in a low oven first until the internal temperature hits right around 90 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Then you pull it out and finish it with a lightning-fast, high-heat sear in the cast iron. Because the oven temperature is so much lower initially, you have a massive margin of error, making this insanely beginner-friendly. No matter which of those cooking methods you choose, Section 4 is completely non-negotiable: the butter-based finish, the industry-standard technique.
To pull off this restaurant-quality finish, you need your basting toolkit locked and loaded. When you're about a minute, just a single minute away from the steak being done, drop in 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 2 lightly crushed garlic cloves with the skin left on so they don't burn, and a nice big bunch of fragrant fresh thyme right directly into the hot pan.
As soon as that butter melts, you're going to simply tilt the pan toward you to pull all that hot, flavorful fat at the bottom. Then grab a spoon and just constantly bathe the steak in it, over and over. You can even use your tongues to brush the garlic and thyme directly over the top of the meat. This rapid basting process is a total game changer. It completely transforms the profile of the dish, infusing the crust with an incredibly rich, mouth-wateringly aromatic, and beautifully nutty flavor that you simply cannot get from cooking oil alone.
And finally, we reach Section 5, resting, slicing, and serving. This is where patience truly pays off.
I know your kitchen smells absolutely amazing right now, but you have to hold on just a little bit longer. First up, let's talk target temperature. If you're using a meat thermometer, which, by the way, is absolutely the most foolproof way to cook, 135 degrees Fahrenheit right in the dead center is exactly what you want to hit for a flawless medium rare. However, here's the catch. You should actually pull the steak off the heat a few degrees early. Why? It's called carryover cooking. Basically, the residual heat trapped inside the meat will continue to raise the internal temperature even after it totally leaves the pan.
Once you take it out of the pan and place it on your cutting board, pour all those sweet browned butter juices right over the top. Then, you must let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes. Don't touch it. The intense high heat of the pan causes all the muscle fibers in the meat to tense up. Resting gives those fibers time to just relax, ensuring a beautifully tender texture. Finally, when you go to cut into it, always slice against the grain. This shortens the muscle fibers, making every single bite effortlessly easy to chew.
Now you might notice some red liquid pooling on your cutting board during this resting phase, and let's be honest, it freaks a lot of people out. But is that actually blood ruining your cutting board?
Rest assured, it is not blood at all. It is entirely safe. It's simply myoglobin. Myoglobin is just a completely natural protein found within the muscle fibers that mixes with the residual water in the meat. It just happens to be red. It actually adds to the rich, mouth-watering juiciness of the meal, so seriously, don't be afraid to drag your sliced steak right through it before you take a bite. So, armed with these foundational techniques, from maximizing the flavor of a budget-friendly marinated flap steak to perfectly reverse searing a premium 2-inch thick ribeye, right down to the legendary butter-based and the science of resting, you have absolutely everything you need. The real question is, what cut are you going to master in your kitchen tonight?